So, it turns out just hours before the church school shooting today, the gunman, who is now being identified as 23-year-old Robin Westman, posted a 20-minute long manifesto video on YouTube. Now, I'm not gonna lie. This guy was seriously mentally deranged because he flips through this notebook in which he has a message to his family, which is multiple pages long. He has the actual a drawing of the church, and a lot of super violent ramblings, which I'm not going to go into. He then shows off all of the guns that he owns and all of the disturbing stuff he wrote on them. Things like, you know what, Donald Trump, Israel must fall, where is your God, for the children, 6 million wasn't enough, a bunch of Russian words, and he clearly spent a lot of time on the internet because there was quite a few references to memes, including Skibbity he wrote on his gun. I'm not even kidding. Point is, extreme hate and extreme evil. Authorities have confirmed they are aware of this video and is now being removed from YouTube while they investigate. This is literally the definition of evil. So we now know that 2 children, aged only 8 and 10, have passed away. They're dead, and 17 more are injured, multiple in critical condition in hospital. And this is after a man in his early 20s, we now know. He approached this church from the outside while dozens of these children were inside in their pews at mass, and they were celebrating their first week back at school, and he opened fire from the outside through the windows. And he was carrying three guns, a rifle, a shotgun, and a pistol, and he used all 3. He then ended his life inside the church. And there was even reports that one of the doors was barricaded from the outside. This guy apparently had no extensive criminal history, but police are investigating a motive. Bro, this student's life was almost ruined simply because he brought an umbrella to college. You see, over the weekend, panic broke out at the University of South Carolina after an active shooter alert was sent out telling everyone to evacuate, barricade, and defend themselves. Turns out, though, there was never a real shooter. It was just 2 prank calls. But in all of the chaos and people freaking out, multiple people took a video of this guy who was just minding his own business, walking along with an umbrella, and people thought that what he was holding was a gun, and that he was the shooter that they were being alerted about. To make matters worse, they posted this on social media and it went viral to the point where it was even reshared by Congresswoman Nancy Mace, who described his appearance to her 500,000 followers. Now, these images were never confirmed or shared by officials, yet for a few hours this poor brother became a school shooter online. I mean, can you just imagine if someone decided to take matters into their own hands after seeing this? That will become the deadliest umbrella in history. Honestly, bro deserves an official apology. The BBC just dropped one of the most bizarre headlines I've seen in a while. Trump threatens to deploy troops to Baltimore to clean up crime. Now, if you're not from America, cleaning up crime probably doesn't seem like the scariest threat. But there's a reason America is our favorite TV show, because the plot is never that simple. And so here's why many don't want Trump to clean up crime. As we've seen in his first test city, Washington, D.C., federal agents have been deployed all over the streets and have started embedding themselves with local officers, assisting in arrests, searches, and warrant executions. And according to police data, the first couple of weeks have resulted in an overall drop in crime. In fact, they didn't have a single homicide in 12 days. Now, crime in DC was already trending down, but that's getting into the weeds. Point is, based on those results, on Monday, Trump signed an executive order to essentially do the same in cities across America. In fact, this specialized National Guard unit would be ready to deploy anywhere across the country within less than 24 hours notice. But with the potential drop in crime that could come with, some expressed concern that to achieve this in DC, Trump essentially had to seize control over their entire police force. And many residents of these states believe that this is a slippery slope to unchecked power, because not only has no US president ever done this before, but also these federal agents wouldn't necessarily answer to local government, but rather to the Trump administration. And that is a scary thought for many. But others would argue that it's a scarier thought to walk the streets at night knowing you're not safe. So I guess in a strange, bizarre way, in America, there can be the possibility to threaten someone to clean up their crime. The question is, which version of this would you take? If you have spare bedrooms in your house or apartment, you may soon be taxed extra for it. This is what lawmakers in Australia are proposing as a radical plan to address their housing and affordability crisis. Now, last week, during the country's economic reform roundtable, one of the several proposals that they made would work by disincentivizing or punishing people who have spare bedrooms. For example, if you are a family of 3 but you have 5 bedrooms, you would be taxed extra for those 2 additional bedrooms. And this is because Australia has a bit of a problem. They simply don't have enough homes, which has caused house prices to skyrocket. And since they consistently fall short of their annual target of building 240,000 new houses, they're now being forced to find ways of making space with the houses they've already got. But some people are outraged about this, saying that it's intrusive and that if they have empty bedrooms, it's for guests or storage. They argue that this is an infringement on privacy and freedom and that it's unfair to expense those who have retired. But what do you guys think? Is this going too far, or is it necessary to ensure everyone has a home? Bro, the last 24 hours have been insane. This was the last moment anyone has seen this 22-year-old YouTuber who was trying to film content at the Duduma waterfall in India. He was washed away by the strong currents and authorities still haven't found him 5 days later. Next, Will Smith is being accused of posting a video of an AI-generated crowd during his Based on a True Story tour in America. Crazy part though is that this wasn't even to mask small crowds. He is objectively performing in front of huge amounts of people. So why his team decided to do this is a bit of a mystery. Next, a city in Japan is proposing guidelines that would see all of its 70,000 citizens only use their phones for 2 hours a day. God forbid a granny. Doom scroll in peace. The mayor of Toyaki said that it was to prevent excessive use of devices causing physical and mental health issues, including sleep problems. Now, luckily, those who go over the 2-hour limit, they're not going to face fines or penalties. Next, Stuart Smith, the wrestler who was attacked by Raja Jackson, is thankfully now awake, conscious, able to talk, and somehow his face doesn't even really look that bad. I mean, the beard's probably covering a lot, and his family say that he still has a long road of recovery ahead. Next, a painting stolen by Nazis over 80 years ago just accidentally surfaced. And guess where? Argentina. Yeah. We know why. And I say accidentally because it was spotted in an ad from a real estate agency, and the house that they were listing allegedly is owned by the daughter of an infamous Nazi. Now, the family of the Jewish art dealer who was originally stolen from is trying to get it back. Next. Oh, and if you do like these news roundups, I post 3 a week on YouTube and they're up to 30 minutes long. Next. Also, the world is worried for this 11-year-old girl from Gaza who is famous for her cooking videos. Because yesterday, she posted this unsettling image on Instagram to her 1.5 million followers with just one word saying goodbye. And since no one really knows what this means, people have been panicking in the comment section asking if she's okay, what does goodbye really mean, etc. Next, the US Coast Guard just made their biggest drug bust in history, and authorities say that this was enough to fatally overdose the entire population of Florida. It was worth almost $500 million and 34 people were detained as a result. Next, and lastly, bro wasn't capping. The man who spent 21 years building a miniature model of New York City has decided to prove all the haters wrong. For the first time, he has laid out his entire model consisting of 1 million handmade buildings. It's 50 foot long, 30 foot wide, which is just over half an NBA court. 21 years, well bloody spent. Okay guys, major breaking news. This is looking horrible. There has just been a shooting at a Catholic school and church in Minneapolis. Here's what we know. So, more than 65 units, including the FBI, have responded to the scene after they got a report at 8:27 a.m., which is less than 15 minutes after the children at this church school began mass. In fact, reports say that these children, which range from kindergarten all the way through to 8th grade, were in mass at the time of the shooting. Neighbors told Fox 9 that they heard so much gunfire that they didn't even call it in because they figured that someone was roofing their house. The Richfield Police Department, which neighbors Minneapolis, is reporting that there are up to 20 victims. And they said a man dressed in all black, armed with a rifle, was reported at the scene. Now, Fox 9 sources also confirmed that the suspect is now dead, and they report that there is no longer an active threat to the community. But based on what we are seeing so far, even though it's little, this is looking to become a very tragic incident. So I'll keep you guys updated.